right. Well, RFK Jr. has recently had two victories here. Not only is he on the ballot in New Mexico, but he is again recertified, requalified in uh, the state of Nevada. So I'm going to cut to both of those two great articles I'm going to read here. We will start with Kennedy submits second round of signatures, defeats attempt to block ballot access in Nevada. Let me start with this. Okay, Carson City, Nevada. This is from July 5th, 2024. I will just verify. I just want to verify the audio is okay. Give me just 1 second. I will just okay. Verify. Cool. Alrighty, so let's go right to it. The Kennedy campaign announced today it has submitted the required signatures for the second time to gain ballot access in Nevada after the Secretary of State made a desperate attempt in March to keep Kennedy off the ballot. The voters of Nevada have for a second time demonstrated their enthusiasm and determination to place Kennedy on Nevada's general election ballot. That is said by the Kennedy Campaign Senior Counsel, Paul Rossi. The campaign will continue to vigorously defend the rights of Nevada voters to cast their ballots for Kennedy against the continued frivolous effort by the infirmed Biden campaign to strike us from the ballot. More than 30,000 signatures were submitted on Wednesday after volunteers were forced to recollect signatures after Nevada Secretary of State, Democratic Francisco Aguilar, reinterpreted the state's ballot access rules after the first round of petitioning had been complete. Shenanigans. Can you say shenanigans? In January, the Secretary of State's office expressly approved the circulation of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination petition without naming the vice president on the petition. But after the campaign collected more than 20,000 signatures, nearly 10,000 more than were required to gain ballot access in Nevada, Aguilar announced in March his office was wrong and the petitions circulated without the name of a VP candidate were invalid. In June, the Kennedy campaign filed a federal challenge to Aguilar's reinterpretation of the state's ballot access rule, challenging on equitable, estoppable grounds the right of the Secretary of State to reject any petition page circulated in reliance of the Secretary's instruction to circulate the nomination petition without the name of Kennedy's vice presidential candidate recorded thereon. Now, Nevada voters have spoken again to put Kennedy on the ballot for president in November, said Nevada State Director Randall Hines. Gathering signatures for a second time gave us a unique perspective. We learned many more Nevadans knew Kennedy was running. We also had hundreds of thousands of face-to-face conversations we would not have had otherwise. Wow. Always cool when you can take something bad and turn it into something good, something positive. So by getting out there twice and collecting first time 20,000, second time 30,000, it gave them the opportunity to speak with a lot of potential voters, which is awesome. The campaign's aggressive ballot access operation has surpassed all its milestones to ensure the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is on the ballot in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The ballot access operation is fully funded with more than $15 million raised. The Kennedy-Shanahan campaign has collected the signatures needed for ballot access in 27 states, totaling 363 electoral votes, which is 67% of the 538 total electoral votes nationwide. Now, officially, the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is officially on the ballot in 9 states: California, Colorado, Delaware, Hawaii, Michigan, Minnesota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah. The campaign has submitted its signatures in 13 states: Alaska, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Illinois, New Mexico, and Nevada. Did I miss? Oh, okay, here we go. It has collected enough signatures for ballot access in 5 states: Florida, Idaho, Iowa, Mississippi, and New Hampshire. There it is. So those are the latest results. Kennedy it's now official. It's now official for the second time that RFK Jr. will be on the ballot in Nevada. And with that, the other major news here, some good news, more good news here we're going to read about. Let me just cut to New Mexico. Kennedy officially on the ballot in New Mexico. Santa Fe, New Mexico, same July 5th. The Kennedy campaign today announced it's officially on the ballot in New Mexico after Secretary of State Maggie Tollizer-Oliver certified the Bureau of Elections has reviewed our paperwork and determined it's in proper order. The announcement comes just 1 week after Kennedy submitted more than triple the number of signatures required to gain ballot access in New Mexico. We appreciate Secretary Oliver's efficiency in certifying the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket in New Mexico, said Kennedy Campaign Senior Counsel Paul Rossi. It's refreshing for a Secretary of State to avoid the partisan interference on display by election officials in Nevada and North Carolina. The campaign's aggressive ballot access operation has surpassed all its milestones to ensure the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is on the ballot in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The ballot access operation is fully funded with more than $15 million raised. The Kennedy-Shanahan campaign has collected the signatures needed for ballot access in 27 states, totaling 363 electoral votes. There it is. So now they've got all of these votes. They got 27, and just a few more to go. This was fascinating to learn. I did not have time to cover this earlier, but I'm so glad that I was able to cover it today because it's something that everybody needs to take note of, whether you're running this year, whether you're going to use this as a template to launch your own campaign in the future. You can learn a lot from the Kennedy campaign, as you will see. Now I want to play a little bit of this. This is from Socrates in the City. Host Eric Metaxas welcomes lawyer, activist, and independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to the Socrates in the City stage. Now, this was 4 days ago, which would be July 2nd. So I watched a lot of this, and then all of a sudden at about the 1 hour and 6 minute mark.
On the off chance that you're not elected in November, and that Donald Trump is elected, would you be willing to work for him in some capacity to do what you're talking about?
It was a Friday, the 24th of May, when everything changed for the congregation of Kiryat Shmona, which was miraculous.
I don't think so. I mean, I would listen to a proposal, but I don't think so. I don't think.
You wouldn't serve your country?
Well, I'm not confident that I could do that. If I had that confidence, I would. I think. I don't think. Anyway,
what you've been talking about. I mean, the backstory, because we don't have the time, but we're talking about America. And when I interviewed your cousin Caroline Kennedy, at one point we were talking about how your uncle Teddy would exhort you cousins to memorize Longfellow's poem Paul Revere's Ride, and it reminded me of a different America. You know, because when people talk about, say, I'm a Kennedy Democrat, that's pretty dramatically different than what the party has become. There was a love of country, and I think that when you talk about your uncle's desire, your father's desire to right these wrongs, there's something noble about that, and it's hard not to admire that. And to think that we're 6 decades along and that we're still dealing with this stuff. Most Americans still aren't awake to the narrative. I mean, you know, you're giving us chapter and verse on where the bullets were, and most Americans think, oh, Sirhan, you know, Lee Harvey, you know. And again, not that that's the most important thing, but it points to the deeper truth that we're supposed to be a self-governing people. And it seems that some of the forces that you've been working against have been they're taking great pains to demonize anybody like you that would question the narrative. And so it seems to me that you have to have hope that people are waking up. I mean, did the 51 people who signed that document denouncing the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation. I mean, I think that there are many Americans that are aware that something very nasty is going on, that we've got to do something about it. And I just think that whether you are in the White House or outside of the White House, that you're uniquely appointed to be working for this. So I'd like to think that America would mean enough to you that.
I would, first of all,
and by the way, if Biden should win, I don't think you're getting a call from him, by the way.
Yeah. No, I'm not. But I do want to just emphasize what you just said about those people here may not know what you're talking about. I think most of them do, but there were 51 high-level acting or inactive CIA officials who signed a letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, which was a lie. It was tampering with the US election, what they were doing. And it was the CIA tampering with the US election. And the fact that, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump's, and one of the reasons that I don't think I'd go to work for him is because he offered me a job in the last administration, and then he took $1 million from Pfizer, and then.
I've heard that story, and I think a lot of us were in a different place at that time. A lot of us have a very different view of Pfizer and Moderna than we did at that point, and actually a very different view of many things than we did at that point.
When somebody looks you in the eye and tells you, I want you to do this, and then, it was a big cost for me to go announce that I'm joining the Trump administration, an enormous cost. And then, and then nothing is there. It makes you less willing to, then entrust to trust that person again. So, like I said, I would listen to a proposal. My objective is to help my country. But
well, that in this day and age, to say that sincerely, it's a beautiful thing. That's why people applaud. And bluntly, I don't see that coming from today's Democratic Party. I'm glad you're an independent, because it's very confusing to Americans who grew up at a time when, Tip O'Neill was the face of the Democratic Party, when we could talk. And I think we're living in difficult times. I'm afraid we are out of time. Can I ask you in closing, just to say a word about your faith journey? I know that you were at one point an atheist.
So that was all I wanted to just cover from that part of the interview. Good interview if you haven't seen the whole thing. And this is a very interesting host, and I'm learning more about. I'm actually reading a book called, I believe it's called God, Trump, and the 2020 Presidential Election, which was written back in 2020. I think in the summer of 2020, and why Trump needs to get back in office. We all know how that turned out with the voter fraud. And the guy who did the foreword was actually the host that was just there. And if you watch the first 4 or 5 minutes of that show that I just played, he's a pretty funny guy too, very sarcastic guy. But anyways, I just wanted to play that because it did have a little bit about Kennedy and Trump. And then I figure one last thing that I will finish this off with. This is about a 3-minute clip, and I thought this was really good from Truth Social. This is from President Trump about 3 hours ago. To all the great boaters in the boat parade on the Jersey Shore, we love you and we'll make America great again soon. Let's play this. If it'll play. If not, let's see. This one play? Not gonna play, huh? All right. Okay, well, maybe I'll just send it there. I was hoping it would play. Let me try to refresh and see if it'll play. If not, that's okay. Wait, next time gadget. There we go. It's playing. I don't see any audio. But all right. Maybe there is no audio to it. There's the Big Boat Parade in Jersey. What do you think of that? There's the Big Boat Parade. Yeah, I guess there's no audio on this video. I think you get the idea, you get the point. MAGA is in full swing. Now, both Kennedy and Trump are on the ballot in this state. And so that will be fascinating to see who wins, who gets close, and how Kennedy does in all of this. Just by running, Kennedy is already a winner. He's already won a big, big win. So God bless you all. And until next time, thank you for joining me here for this quick short show, maybe the shortest one yet. And remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I.